Hello, everybody, and welcome to Strong Healthy Seniors. I'm Bill, and today I'd like to talk to you about the number one exercise barrier. What is it? Well, as seniors, we may know that we deal with a lack of energy, and we may have one or more chronic illnesses that make it difficult to do much of anything at all. And we know that exercise benefits us. We hear that all the time. It can actually help reverse chronic illnesses, right? And we'd like to begin, but how do we get started? Well, today, I hope that maybe I can help present a solution to that for you, because it's things that worked for me, and I just want to try to share it with you. Because I believe it starts with nutrition. Nutrition to start to reverse some of the inflammation that we get, some of the joint pain, some of the, it robs our energy actually. And so, how do we do that? Well, let's face it, we just can't eat like kids anymore once we get older. Let's not kid ourselves. Sorry about that. When we were kids, we needed calories for energy, didn't we? So we could eat a lot of, high calorie foods that aren't so beneficial for us now, like donuts and pastries and cakes and pies and candy and sweets and sodas and we could get away with it because our metabolism was high and we burned it. We actually needed the energy then, and we were younger, so we could deal with it. But as we age, let's face it, we just really can't eat like that anymore, okay? And if you do, it may be what's causing the problem. Because if we're eating these sweets, these simple carbs, and carbs are good, don't get me wrong. Carbohydrates are some of the most nutritious foods. There's just good and bad carbs. So if we're eating these bad carbs that are donuts and pastries and sweets and, then it may spike our sugar. And there's a type of gout that attacks our joints that's caused by high blood sugar. So how do we reverse that? Well, we need to start eating cleaner. A whole food, plant-based diet is where I would begin. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I do myself, to do that. And I love this diet, especially because I feel so much better. I used to eat like that too. And, there's something that I think I see that's trapping a lot of people with sodas. I don't think they realize what's going on. That sodas, a lot of sodas, some contain caffeine. And caffeine can be a bit addictive. As a matter of fact, if you stop drinking caffeine or, taking in caffeine, it can lead to caffeine withdrawal, which gives you headaches and makes you lethargic, So sometimes people try to start drinking more water and things like that. Now they'll start skipping the caffeinated drinks, and then they start getting headaches, and so they drink more caffeine to alleviate the headaches and So what am I saying is that we need to probably eliminate some of these caffeinated drinks and these soft drinks that are not good for us, and break that cycle. Start drinking more water and healthy drinks. And so the combination of eating sweets and things like that, and then caffeinated drinks in excess, and coffee may not be so bad. I drink decaf later in the day, a little coffee in the morning, but these soft drinks are so lacking in nutrition for us. So what we eat is kind of limited, so we need to make it count. I'm going to show you some things today. I'll have to make some room for myself here because I'm going to show you some things I think is really going to help you. And I'm excited to show you. I'll just go ahead and get into that. Let me move some of this off my table. Drop it there. Now, here's the number one thing, and I'm not really sponsored by any products or anything. I'm just here to help you, okay? I'm not making any money on this. I'm just doing this to help people. And this is the number one thing that's helped me. If I can get it out here, the cord is tangled up. Okay. Alrighty. If you can see this, if I can hold it up here. This is a Vitamix. I've got a smaller one that my wife uses. It's a 48 ounce pitcher. This one's got I think 64 ounce pitcher. It's pretty big because I like to make big green smoothies, and this is what it's for. And why do I advocate green smoothies? It's because, and I've read this before, I've read that 1 glass of a green smoothie can contain as much fruit and vegetables as most people get in an entire week. Just one smoothie. And I drink these things daily, sometimes a couple of times a day. And they're packed with nutrition. How do I make mine? I'll start with leafy vegetables like spinach or kale. I get it by the bag, and it's inexpensive. It's $2, $3 a bag. And I'll use, some of it and clean it up good. I always like to rinse it good. So I'll use some kale or spinach or both in my smoothie. And I'll usually put put softer things in first. So like cucumber, maybe a banana. I use some of these, and I'm going to advocate for Walmart a little bit. They're kind of my partner. I used to not like Walmart that much, but now. So they've got some ground flax seeds. I'll put some of that in mine. Maybe a tablespoon or two. They also have some chia seeds. Is that how you pronounce that? Chia seeds, and I put some of that in there. They've got some, and I'm talking about a plant-based diet here because meat and dairy can clog our arteries and things, so we're trying to clean it up and avoid sugars and sweets and fats and saturated fats and foods that contain like LDL cholesterol, if you know what that is, the bad cholesterol that clogs our arteries. And so we're trying to get healthier, aren't we? Here's something else Walmart sells that I like a lot is plant-based organic protein powder. If you're struggling, a lot of people say, where am I going to get protein? Did you know we synthesize protein? Protein is amino acids, so the point is we need to get the proper amino acids in our body. And plant-based foods generally have most of them, just maybe not in all the right proportions, but we can get it. There's tofu and lentils and a lot of ways. And I go for a kind of a balanced way to do it. I'll even eat an egg or two from time to time. Or if there's a little lean meat on things, did you know that plant-based foods actually clean your arteries? So a little, let's be reasonable about it. Let's be balanced. And it's just a cleaner way to eat. If a little meat, it's probably not going to kill us immediately, no. So include that in there. I look at the way Asians eat, it's kind of neat. And people, maybe Mediterranean or different areas of the world where there's low heart disease and they're pretty healthy people, they eat mainly plant-based diets. And they use meat maybe to flavor food more, meat and dairy. They're not real big on dairy things, and and I think that's a wise way to be. Here's another thing I like a lot is a fiber drink, and even on the back here, it's something I've talked to nutritionists before, and it's something they don't bring up much, but it's actually got on the back here about how fiber can help you with blood sugar. So just a little bit of fiber, go by the directions, and it's psyllium. So, but I think it really helps your digestion, helps your elimination, helps you, it helps with, reducing the effects of sugar on your joints and on your body. It really does help that. I want to show you another food that I like a lot. I'm really advocating some brands here, so, but it's just what I use, and I'm just saying that. Here's some things. This is Bird's Eye Power Blend. This one's Southwest flavor. Kind of spicy, but it's good. So it's full of lentils and such. And I apologize that I can't read the label right now. Here's one that's quinoa and spinach, if you can see that. That's a good one. Now, Walmart only carries, I think, one of these now, but we have Kroger stores in my area. And they carry a variety. They've got California and Italian and this spinach and quinoa and Southwest blend. And they're inexpensive. They're about $2.50 a bag. I'll usually eat like a half a bag, or if I can eat a whole bag, that's pretty good. It's really easy to make, and I think it's pretty healthy. It's just a way to start eating healthier, And I'll tell you this, I try to get a little healthy fats in my diet, and so olive oil is good for that. And I'll put olive oil in one of these condiment squirt bottles, with a little lid on it. And whenever I make this power blend, heat it up, I'll squirt a tablespoon or so of that olive oil on my vegetables. And also I have some cider vinegar that's good for you too. That helps to detox. Excuse me. So I put some of that in one of those little squirt bottles too, and makes a kind of a dressing for it. If you try to eat those, if you try to take just like tablespoons of olive oil, it can be a little difficult. And the vinegar, but if you put it on a salad, it makes it more flavorful. Really good way to get that nutrition in your body. One more thing is just another way. Sometimes I make pots of beans, and I cook tofu and different things. It's really delicious. But here's some like vegetarian beans that I found, just a can of beans, and but I'm just saying, kind of trying to show you how if you want to, there's ways to get kind of convenient, healthy food that you can switch it up, and I just love it. And like I said, especially, I love the way I feel. Let me say this about how we eat. And everybody, in America, we kind of promote decadent eating, don't we? So, there's romanticized commercials about these decadent desserts and things, Well, once you get to a point, it's detrimental to your health, That's why it's kind of called decadent, I guess. And let's think about this. I just want to bring this up. That when you do get a food that you really like, that's probably not that good for you. That's probably going to cause you health problems and maybe even lead to your early death. To be honest, kind of blunt about it. But if we're eating a lot of unhealthy foods, people, it can shorten our lives. So, and it can keep us from exercising. Remember that. So, here's my point. When you do get a food you really like, say a dessert or something, usually it's like the first tablespoon, the first spoonful, first, taste of it. That's really the best, isn't it? It's like, oh, there's that great food. Then maybe a bite or two more. But as you keep much past that, you kind of have to start forcing yourself to eat. To eat the whole thing, a whole dish full or whole, it's kind of too much. So if you can, to me like this, like if we're going to be balanced, and I think we should enjoy things still. If there's things you enjoy, I think we could go ahead and do that. But just in a lot smaller amounts where, like I said, the first few tastes are probably by far the best. And then we're starting to get into territory that's not good for us if we continue to eat a whole lot of it, really. So, I'm just saying, let's try to keep portions a little smaller on our treats. And there's nothing wrong with that. We should probably treat ourselves for our hard work. And when we're eating a healthy diet, it helps to mitigate that some, right? So we can probably be balanced and enjoy life and still be healthy. That's my take on it. That's what I do. And I enjoy my diet. And sometimes I might include some other foods that people might say avoid, but it's so difficult to get all the nutrition just in plant-based foods. So I say just be a little balanced with it. And I think it's a good way to be. And then, like we can fight off some of these joint issues maybe that are holding us, maybe have a little more energy, and we can start to exercise. And on my channel, I have an exercise program that I've come across that I think is just one of the easiest that I've ever seen. But it's beneficial. I call it the 1 rep workout. That's my creation. And it's when I was looking up whether any exists, I didn't really see one. Unless it's powerlifting, which is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, think about this. Instead of going to the gym, and maybe you've been assessed and they say, well, we're going to start you on a program. We're going to do like 10 full body exercises. We're going to do 5 sets, 10 reps each. If you add all that up, that's about 500 repetitions, And how many people, to be honest, really do a real good repetition out of that? It's like going through the motions, repetitive motion, or hurting their joints. Takes a lot, saps their energy, takes a lot of time. So I found that if you just do one really, really good repetition, I mean, a good, solid movement, positive movement, then hold that movement, flex, you know, exert yourself at the top of the movement, exert your muscles, then do an eccentric for 5 or 10 seconds. That's usually the most beneficial part of the exercise, so we're going to make sure to utilize that. At the end of it, do a gentle stretch. So what is that? That's what I call a really good repetition. And if you're doing proper form, we'll want to focus on that. Then we're really doing kind of a perfect repetition that we may not have even gotten in that 500 exercises we did before. We were just going through the motions. We're just going to do the one that really benefits us, that one that we do right. So we're going to do one really good repetition per body part. We start out with a really easy warm-up, about a minute. Do this 1 repetition per body part exercise routine that I've developed. And I have it on my channel. I do a podcast. And then we're going to do a gentle stretching routine, which it really feels good. And don't miss the stretching part, because it's really beneficial helps us with flexibility, which we lose some as we age, and balance and things like that we really need. So this little, about a 10-minute routine builds strength. It helps our health tremendously. It helps our flexibility, our balance, so many things. So thanks for joining me today. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how nutrition can help us, how it can be one of the biggest barriers in exercise. Could be our diet. Could be that if we're just eating unhealthy, and it may taste good, but how good is it to feel bad all the time? You may get a few minutes of pleasure from eating a meal like that, but we're hurting our health throughout the remainder of the day. A long day. We may even be shortening our life, and helping to cause some of these chronic illnesses, where about all the exercise we end up getting is going to the doctor, or getting in our wallet to pay the bills, or spending time on the phone talking to insurance companies or medical related things. It takes a lot of our time and energy, but that may be all the exercise we're getting. So let's switch that up. Instead of spending all our time at the doctor and paying money for everything and dealing with all this, let's clean it up. Let's feel better. Let's get healthier. Let's live longer. Let's be happier for our loved ones, our family, our friends, our pets, ourselves. Be the very best we can be. Thanks for joining me today again. My name's Bill, with strong, healthy seniors. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time. See you later.